Welcome back to the Celtics Nation Rise podcast. I'm your host, Griffin Aldridge,
I'm your co-host, Luis Gomez.
I'm your co-host Kyle Sullivan.
and we have a special guest here today. We have Cameron Tabatabaie on the podcast.
Griffin, you must have practiced. That was most people can't pronounce my last name off the jump.
I worked on it hard. I was watching some videos and stuff. I was like, all right, I gotta get this down. Um, Thank you so much for joining on our podcast. So tell us a little background about yourself.
Sure. I actually am a high school history teacher, and I get to cover the Celtics for USA Today in the evenings. I have the best of both worlds. I'm home right now. Occasionally, if you're watching the video, I'm looking up. My poor dog had to go to the vet today. I'm just keeping tabs on him.
Uh,
Um, I went to school for environmental policy, and after I graduated, I was kind of looking around for jobs, and Brian Robb of Celtics Hub was looking for writers for Celtics Hub, and just like as a part-time thing, I thought I'd try that out. Um, I'll date myself because I'm older than you guys. The way that I got the gig was I wrote a mock column on why the Celtics needed to trade Rajon Rondo, and I guess it was good enough. And so I started with B Rob, I think 10 years ago. I think this is the 10 season anniversary for me. Um, I did that for a little bit. It was always part time. I actually lived in Australia for a little bit. And then I went to grad school. And so a couple of years ago, I kind of picked this up again. So I've been writing for USA Today and podcasting ever since.
that's awesome. So you're an NBA reporter, correct?
Yeah, technically, I cover the whole NBA. USA Today has a fleet of different NBA websites that at any given moment I might hop on. But given that I live in Brookline, so I live pretty close to TD Garden, so I'm usually available to go to Celtics games. So I just like kind of got pigeonholed into Celtics almost exclusively, but not always.
Would you consider yourself a Celtics fan then?
Yeah, big time. I mean, I grew up here. I don't think. I guess what I say about it is I just love hoops. This will be unpopular, but it's cool that Luke is on the Lakers. Like that is just like fundamentally a cool thing for the league. So I'm not enough of a homer that I want to see the Knicks do well. I want to see the Lakers do well. They're good. They're good for the league. Um, and I root for the team because I grew up rooting for the team. Like when Pritchard hit that half court shot, another reporter and I who's also from here, we like jumped up out of our seat. Like old habits die hard. But what I tell people is I feel like I have more at stake with the Celtics losing than the average fan because when the Celtics lose at home, you just turn the television off and like go about your night. When they lose and then you have to write about it, like you have to deal with a pissy Joe Mazzulla. So I actually feel like in a selfish way, I root for the Celtics to win just because it makes my job easier, if that makes sense.
I love that. So how would you say a pissy Joe Mazzulla is like experiencing with him?
But it's frustrating. So I'm a teacher, right? Like the way I talk to my classroom is just different than the way I talk to anyone else. It's like I code switch, right? And Joe isn't like that in person. When you talk to him in the hallway or whatever, he's like a nice dude. He's maybe a little intense, but he's not anything like his television persona. I think it's both like a impression of Bill Belichick and he's a little nervous up there. So yeah, there are a few reporters that he's like willing to kind of spar with, and it's not always in good fun, but it rolls off of him. I think he assumes it rolls off of everyone else. So I don't know. I've had a few moments where we've gone back and forth, but like I asked him he if anyone here is listening who wants to be a reporter, never ask a yes or no question. Certainly not to Joe Mazzulla, because then he can just say yes or no. So you always ask an open-ended question. And I asked a question that was not yes or no, but he turned it into yes or no. And I didn't get an answer really. So pretty visibly, I mouthed the F word to myself, like knowing that I just had messed up. And I went to hand the microphone back to the PR people who like pass out the microphones. I think Joe saw that and he forced himself to give a real answer because of that. So it's television. Like it's not the WWE, but he knows that it's a media obligation. Um, the other day when Jason Tatum had knee tendinopathy, so a rest night, they said, "Hey Joe, what do you think of Jason's knee? And he gave an answer, oh, we're just keeping an eye on it, just keeping an eye on it. And then the press conference ends and everyone laughs, and Joe goes, how was that believable? So there are bits of it that it just plays for the TV and the radio, I guess.
Oh yeah. Speaking of the Luca trade, Lewis actually had a question for you about that.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you know some inside news for the Luka trade? If not, what's your thought about it?
I don't think anyone understands it. The more you hear about it, the more it sounds ridiculous. I'm not one for NBA conspiracies, so I really think Nico Harrison just made a very shrewd move. I think, look, if you put up with him day after day and like you're really that sick of Luka's conditioning and his insistence that he uses his own staff, maybe you kind of like lose sight of how good he is. But it does read like maybe it's probably the biggest blunder since the Red Sox moving on from Mookie Betts. But at least Mookie kind of had already said, I probably won't re-sign here. So I don't know. It's amazing for the Lakers. It's like an absolute coup. And if you squint, Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis is an unbelievable pairing. It's probably a few years too late. I mean, especially with Clay as presumably the third star. And I guess what I don't understand about it is Lively is just going to be Anthony Davis someday. So why wouldn't you just like invest in Lively? But yeah, man, I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't have like anything smart to say. Like it just seems like it's obviously an awful trade for Dallas.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the only thing I have been hearing is they're trying to bring I've heard rumors about Kevin Durant
Yeah.
possibly trying to go.
Yeah, I saw it too. Yeah.
I don't know how they could even make a trade like that happen. I don't know who they would have to give up for that. Uh it's definitely a head scratcher. It's one that
It was just a shocking trade. It was just out of the blue. It was just like crazy. Like,
but
why would they do that? Like,
yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's
like you said earlier, you said like it's kind of like one that kind of we needed, and like it was kind of like one that was like, oh wow. Wow, that just actually happened. That was crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So another question I have too, I'm actually going to school for sports management. I've been doing a lot of broadcasting and stuff, and definitely reporting has been in it. I've been doing interviews with players and stuff. What's the best advice you could give someone looking to go into this job? I like the one that you said, don't ask a yes or no question, but like just paths that you could do, like things in order to become successful in this industry.
Yeah. Are you up in Maine, or are you always just like catching Maine players?
I actually am up in Maine. Yep.
Okay,
So
I was
I
gonna say.
actually go to a school right near it. So I try to go over as much as I can. And it's been funny because I'm a big Celtics guy, and obviously we have the Celtics account, but I've been trying to get like big names for other players. I've got Mac McClung,
Cool.
and I've got some other ones too. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think my answer is you have to be the hardest working person in the room. Um, so I do this part time. I probably write between 30 and 50 articles a month, um, closer to 50 or 60 in the playoffs. Other beat reporters, it's like 100 articles a month. So I have seen people who get hired to write for some of the Celtics sites or blogs or whatever, and they write like an article a week, and maybe that's all they can manage or what have you. But so much of this job is just like long hours and pumping out content. Unfortunately, content has never been cheaper. There's a lot of people who want jobs like this, and so there's a lot of people willing to do it for cheap. So you need to be able to do it affordably and well. So yeah, Griffin. I mean, the macro answer is just like you got to be willing to do the work. But it looks like what you're doing is the work. So like, if Nima Shiketa is at a card shop at your local mall, you got to go and like try to get access. If you know someone's brother who knows someone's sister who knows someone's trainer, you try. You just hustle. Again, it's a job that lots and lots of people want. They can only give out so many of these jobs, so you have to be slicker than the rest, or harder working than the rest, or just like charm people's pants off. So one of those three, and then I don't know. I'm not a trained journalist.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
again, I'm the luckiest man in the world. I mean, some of the people that I work alongside went to school for journalism. They cut their teeth in places like Syracuse or Northwestern or UMass, like places that teach you how to do it. And I've had to put it together on the fly, which really pisses off my editor because there are like things that I don't even know that I don't know. So yeah, work harder than everyone else and ask a lot of questions is probably the correct answer.
I love that. Kyle had a question for you as well.
Sure.
What has your career journey been like leading up to becoming a Celtics reporter?
Not a straight line. I mean, I guess that going back to Griffin's question is like it. There are people. I mean, I guess I was 22 when I first started covering the Celtics, and they weren't very good, and the rules for locker room access were different. So I was just there. I was in the locker room. It can be that you're lucky or right place, right time, but it's a really fickle industry. So people get jobs, and then the website closes down, or it gets bought, or what have you, and you just hustle. So for me, as much as I love covering the Celtics, I love teaching. So it was always on the back burner for me when I did Celtics Hub 8-9 years ago. It was something I did part time. I loved. I tried to be as good as I could, but I never like pursued it as a passion. So I probably didn't even know how lucky I was at that moment. And then I always just kept writing. Again, like what I tell my students is writing is akin to getting in the gym. Like you have to always be in shape. You have to always be keeping your stamina up. Like when Springer was traded, I was on the hook for 300 to 500 words in the next 10 minutes. Like I had to go, right? And it's not like, let me think about this and edit this and like, hey, can you look at this? It's like, it has to get out the door. And I'm not saying I'm uniquely talented. I've been doing this for 10 years. Like it's just about putting the time. So for young people who want jobs like this, my advice is to be patient and like trust your own process, but to like do all the steps along the way. So I personally got lucky that Brian Robb saw something in me, and I've kept up, but I don't ever want to take that for granted. So I'm always looking to like I'm posting on Instagram now, and I'm like really out of my depth. It's like not really like a comfort level thing for me, but I know that there's lots of Celtics fans on Instagram that I want to connect with. So I didn't really answer your question, Kyle. I'm sorry. I kind of went in a different direction.
It's okay.
Yeah, it kind of summed it up with my question anyways. But actually an add-on question. What's your thoughts on that Springer trade? Because it's funny that we mentioned it because it just happened.
Yeah, it's 3:45 in the afternoon on Wednesday. I mean, this could be stale by the time you guys publish, but he made $4 million for a team that's over the second apron. By trading him, they're going to save $15 million in luxury tax. That's huge. The Celtics made, what was it, like $100 million in profit or 100 and change?
Yeah.
Cutting $15 million out of that is no small thing. They have 2 roster spots open now. They need to fill one within the next 2 weeks legally. They could get a veteran guy or a buyout guy, and the league pays part of that salary. So they're going to save a lot of money there. They could upgrade Drew Peterson. Springer's a nice young man. I like talking to him, but I didn't think that he was like an impact player. I think we do this a lot. This is how I feel about Lonnie Walker. That's like because you know the name and because they've had a good game or two playing alongside players like LeBron James or Jason Tatum, you're like, oh, they must be a really good basketball player. And they're better than 99% of the population, but they got to be 99.5, right? So it saved the Celtics money. Springer's a nice young man. I hope he gets to play in Houston. There's no 3D chess going on here. It's about the money.
Yep.
You kind of said it too. Peterson maybe taking over that spot. Who would you like to see kind of take over that roster spot if you had to pick?
The main Celtics have proven that they know how to develop guys who could go to Boston and play. Drew is sneaky big. It's like the conversation we had about Sam Hauser a year and a half ago. He's sneaky big. He's sneaky athletic. Yes, he can shoot, but he can do more than that. So I think Boston's roster's not getting any cheaper, and a homegrown guy that is affordable, who knows the system, knows the coach, and can get in and make an impact is not anything to sneeze at. So they have 2 open roster spots. I think they'll fill both of them before the playoffs. So my guess would be Peterson gets one of them. He has been working his tail off. They seem like they like him. I'd like for them to try to bring in a center. If Horford or Porzingis go down, or goodness forbid, both of them, suddenly that big man depth just like isn't what it used to be. So
Yeah.
if they could get a big guy who can shoot a little bit, that would be absolutely aces. That could be by way of the buyout market in the next few weeks, or that could be a trade. Like I think they like Shireman and Walsh, so they're kind of running out of runway for that. Tillman would be the name. I don't think they're going to keep him around, but maybe they might.
Yeah. And then Lewis had another question for you as well. He had one written down.
Yeah. Are you close to any player?
Yeah. I talk to everyone at TD Garden. I just because I'm a teacher, so like my job is managing people that fundamentally usually don't want to be there, right? And then I go home, I change, I get in the tea, I get to the garden. Now everyone wants to be there. So I'm just like full of enthusiasm. I'm probably over caffeinated. So like I talk to the players, I talk to the coaches, I talk to the security guards, like I talk to the concession people. Like I'm just a chatterbox. And the players, I think they like that. Like if you watch footage of the fashion runway, often they'll like let out a very meager like, "Hey guys," at the end because it's awkward. They're always on display. They're always being filmed or looked at, and people are rarely talking to them. And so I think they enjoy when people kind of just like treat them like peers. So I think that that's helpful. I built something of a relationship with Jaylen Brown. I went to his birthday party this year. That was really cool of him to invite me to that. I always have to keep it real. Like your job as a journalist is not to be buddies. Like I'm not an influencer. Like if Jaylen has a bad game, I got to call it. Like if Jaylen did something bad off the court, I got to write about it. Like I can't, and he knows that too, but, we're also people, we're colleagues of a sort, I suppose. So, um, yeah, I'm not like boys with Jaylen, but I trust Jaylen. I think Jaylen trusts me to do stuff, and I'm working really hard on getting into this 741. Uh, they have a release thing coming up that I can't say much more about, but I'm trying to tell that story. So
That's
yeah,
incredible.
people
That's
like
cool.
personable people. There's a lot of, especially online, but in general, just like transactional like fakeness in the NBA and around the world, and I think people respect when you seem authentic.
Yeah. I love your response to that. I also had kind of another question, just along with kind of my journey. What are some challenges you have faced along your way, if you had to say?
Uh, there's a ton. It's not a job that pays very well. So I've been lucky because I've usually been teaching or doing something else alongside, but I know people who Uber or turn tables or bartender, and you just got to keep it real about that. I kind of wish people were more open about it. Again, it's just a hustle. So yeah, I have two underpaid jobs, so they add up to like I'm comfortable, but that's always a thing. Uh, Rejection is a really big part of this job. You send a lot of emails that never get responded to. Celtics PR is notorious for just like blowing people off or being stingy. Um, you got to learn to not take it personally, um, and kind of like plow through. And that's something that I've not struggled with, but like have had to learn to be okay with. That emailing people and then sending a follow up email and still getting a non answer or just like an emphatic no is not personal, even though it stings a little bit. So yeah, that's something that's been a challenge. I'm really bad at punctuating quotations. So like when I do post game uh, player conferences, my editor is always in my case because like I don't know where commas and periods go, and it's just like everyone has things about like punctuation, spelling, and grammar that they have these hangups. Um, so that's that's what I just can't seem to kick.
I actually have one last question. I know you're busy, so we'll let you go after, but if you had to end it off with a kind of a funny story or a story you want us to hear, kind of with the players or something, just one of your favorite moments that just you look back to.
Hmm. Um, that's a good question. Favorite moments. There's a bunch. The playoffs are interesting because, like day to day, the players are doing their job, the coaches are doing their job, the trainers are doing their job, the journalists, like everyone's doing their job. When the playoffs roll around, so many people from other cities and places come to town that the Garden feels really crowded, and so suddenly, you like make eyes with a trainer, and it's like an ally. You're like, oh, I know that face. Like, oh my god, like there's so much stranger danger going on. So um, it felt like the playoffs were a great time to get closer to people and feel more comfortable. Oh, actually, I have a way better story. Um, after after they won at I don't know like 3 a.m, Mike Zarin, the vice president, or like chief legal or whatever his title is, came out and he brought out a basketball, and so a bunch of writers and team employees and stuff were playing 3-on-3. The floor is like covered in confetti, so you can't like move, but like people are like passing the ball and shooting and whatnot. And Jalen showed up from the party. Players would just because now they have that club downstairs, so players would like go downstairs, they come upstairs, they go downstairs, and Jalen showed up, and I immediately was like, Jalen's on my team. So for like a second, I played 3-on-3, and my team was me, Mike Zarin, and Jalen. Jalen was with a security guard or like someone I don't know, someone from who's making sure he's not getting into trouble, and was like, that he can't play basketball. Like the court's covered in confetti. Like he's not doing this. I said he'll just stand there and pass. And so he played like two plays, and then he was like, "This isn't fun. Like I just won the title. Playing hoops with Cameron is like not what I dreamed about as a kid." So then he I don't know, he went back to the club or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a funny moment. Although he had his trophy, the Finals MVP trophy, and he put it down to play. So all the other people there have like pictures of them holding the trophy at TD Garden, and I never got to hold the trophy.
No.
Wow.
But I think I got like 2 assists in that game. I don't think I scored.
That's awesome. Well, we won't keep you here because I know you're busy, but thank you again so much for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate it. We'd love to have you on again sometime, maybe in the off season or something when you get not as busy for sure. But thank you again so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Of course,
Thank you.
guys.
Huge thank you for Cameron Tabatabaie for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate that. You guys kind of got inside of like an NBA reporter, so that was huge. We'll definitely have him back on soon. So we're back. Celtics talk. Let's go. The Celtics. You guys both predicted 4-0. You guys thought they were going to beat the Bulls. You guys thought they were going to beat the Pelicans. I think it was Pelicans, Sixers, and Cavs. And
Pelicans,
guess what?
yeah.
They did.
Sixers and Cavs.
They did. They did. And they deserved the song last night. Bobby and I played that song. How are you guys feeling? Let me know.
I'm feeling awesome. Great. I mean, especially last night's win, that was a huge win. Especially only, 4.5 back from Cleveland now. Like, that was a big, big win. Like, and we've been playing better. Not only, like, we're not shooting the ball better, like, the offense is flowing better. Like, the defense looks way better than it did before that 4-game win streak. Like, the defense looks really great. And to be honest, players are stepping up now. White's out of his slump. Tatum's out of his slump. Tatum's playing outstanding. Porzingis has been playing good. Like, everyone just seems in rhythm. You know what I mean? Like, Hauser stepping up off the bench. Like, Pritchard's still doing his thing. Brown's playing well. Like, the whole starting five is playing very, very well. Like we were used to seeing last season, and that's a great sight to see for sure.
I think you just said it perfectly. You hit the nail on the hammer for sure. Wait, I think that's how you say it. But whatever. You said it perfectly. Lewis, what are your thoughts on it?
Like Kyle just said it. We've been playing good basketball and then playing bad basketball. You get me? We will have a good game, then the next game, we will look really bad. And we've been in a slump. I like that we went 4-0, I like that. That's like something that we haven't seen in a while. When was
Yeah.
the last time we saw them like win 4 in a row? I've been too focused on performing really good on performing really good tonight, and then the very next game, it's not. We're having a terrible night, but the defense is getting better, just like Kyle said. We're playing way better ball, and some of our players that were struggling, they're getting right on track and perfect timing.
I agree. And I just gotta say, I was very impressed. I thought they were gonna be 2-2 because that's how they've been playing, and kind of my negativity turned into positivity because like I was thinking negative, you guys were positive about it, and look what happened. The Celtics won some basketball games. So just kind of moving forward, how did we? I just want to hear your guys' reaction on that Cavs game because I talked to Bobby about it. What do you think? That was
I
a
watched that whole game. I mean, we looked really great. It's the defense, like containing like Garland. I mean, Mitchell always does this thing versus us. Mitchell's Mitchell, but
yeah,
like we guarded Garland very well. Mobley didn't really do much. Strus had like I think like 2 points, 5 points or
he
something.
kept
He
it
didn't do
2 points, I
much.
think. Yeah.
Like what's it called? Allen, like he had a pretty solid game, but like overall we held like two of their starters. Who they start? They start Strus didn't really like do much, and
It was kind of just Garland and
Strus and Mobley didn't really do much that
no,
game. It was literally
Jared
just
Allen.
Garland, Allen, and Mobley. Really,
Yeah, I
no. Garland, not Mobley.
uh, Allen.
Allen, Garland, and Mitchell.
Yeah, we played great, and we'll just kind of look forward. I thought about it, and I talked about it. We kind of do the recaps to cover up the game, so we're not going to talk about the recaps so much. We're not going to talk about the games in the past. We'll talk about upcoming games and stuff. So we have before All-Star break, we have the Mavericks, we have the Knicks, Heat, and the Spurs. Before we talk into anything else, I just want to ask you guys. Just kind of to get a feel for it because Kyle has to go at some point, and if we're mid conversation, I don't want to cut it off. What's our record gonna be? All right, 4 games. What do you see us being by next week at All Star? Wait, actually, it's on a Wednesday, so three
Which
games.
games we got? Who we playing?
Mavs. We got Mavs tomorrow. Saturday we got Knicks, and Monday we have Heat. All right, we'll talk about the Spurs game next week.
I want to say 3-0, but I think 2-1.
Who do you think we lose to?
The
I'm,
Knicks.
go- I'm going three.
I'm going 3-0 too. I'm a,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think we like we're probably gonna beat the Knicks, but I don't know. They've been playing good too, so someone's got to give that game, you know. And it's on at MSG. Like that might be tough. Okay. It depends on Ananobi's health. If Ananobi's playing, then yeah. But if he's not, I think we win. We could probably win either way. Obviously, I think we're the better team, but they're still tough, and they're on a win streak too. I think they're on like a 3-4 game win streak also. So and that's not my New York bias. I'm just saying like what I think, and like
Mhm.
I honestly like I think we could definitely win, but it's definitely going to be a close game. It's going to be tough.
I agree. We
I
share.
feel like we're gonna finish strong the first half.
I think
Um,
we will too. I honestly like
I feel we're gonna win
I
three.
kind of believe
No.
3-0, but like I think we're gonna lose the game. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I hope it's 3-0 though.
Yeah,
Who's excited for the Mag game?
That's gonna be cool with AD hopefully playing.
I will AD play tomorrow? I don't know.
I think he is.
I
He
think
didn't
he
play
is.
last game. I think he is. He was practicing.
I hope so. That'd be interesting. I know it. And before this trade, that's why I was like, all right, I'm gonna keep the Celtics Nation Rise recaps kind of the covers until after All-Star Week because I didn't know what was gonna go on and stuff like that. But big trades like that. But kind of talking about trades, I think they're gonna go 3-0 too. I think I gotta give them some positive feedback because they impressed me. And I think honestly we go into All-Star break kind of with an 8 game win streak. I hope. I hope. But next podcast we will obviously talk about All-Star festivities and stuff like that. That'll be our All-Star themed podcast. But trade deadline. This is big, big, big. We've been talking about this for weeks. Celtics finally made a move. Kyle and I broke it down. But Lewis, what do you think about giving up that defensive anchor of Jaden Springer? How do you feel about that?
I want to say it. Hopefully it's the right move. Hopefully it ends up like being the good, be working for us. That's what matters at the end of the day. Like if we could, if it ends up being good for us, I'm good. But I'm this type of person that hopefully everything, like I know, like names and stuff like that, but sometimes having like people who have names sometimes are just like they don't click with teams. You get me? It's not about the names. It's about clicking with a team. And I'm a person that I believe in that. Like, if you're the right fit at that moment, we're gonna be fine, and we're gonna get even better. So hopefully for us, it's like that type. He like fits in and stuff like that.
Who do you guys hope we get? Kyle and I were talking about Torrey Craig, maybe.
I
Uh,
hope I hope Walker Kessler, but I don't think
we
that's gonna
won't. We
happen.
can't now. We can't because
I
you would
don't think
give
I
up.
don't
Yeah.
think so.
You would have to give
I
up
think
one.
like Torrey Craig, Lonnie Walker, like Seth Curry, like maybe like
I don't want Seth Curry.
I think he would be solid for the bench.
I know Lewis doesn't want Seth Curry.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. I don't really know like guys we could get, but like a center, I would like look into like a center.
I agree. I agree.
What
I
about
think
Porzingis?
no. Like no.
For
What?
like depth wise, like on the bench because Horford's getting
Oh,
older. Horford's going to be done probably after this year, and we're
but
gonna have to
do
look
you
for the long
wanna?
term.
Do, don't you want something for now, not for the future?
No. He's mean
I
like
mean,
that.
yeah, I'm saying for
Yeah.
now and the future because Horford's probably going to look to retire after this year, and like it'll be
That's.
important if we look for depth, because
He's
Tillman's
not
not
gonna
it.
retire, bro. He's gonna play
I'm
3 more years.
I'm telling you,
I'll be
Horford.
shocked if he plays next year.
If
I'll be
he
shocked.
plays next year, I'll be shocked too. Uh, I want to ask
Not
you.
retire him? Oh, he hasn't even said it that he's retiring.
This 2 year contract was it. He said after this 2 years, he's.
Yeah, I think he's done.
I'm telling you.
So you think this is his last year in the league?
Yeah.
He got his ring.
Yo, I want to smoke some of that pack, bro.
Ugh. Listen. I know that's Lewis's guy. What do you guys what do you guys think about just developing Nemias Queta then? Kind of like making
I
him.
think I think I like it. I think he's. I don't think he's Robert Williams exactly right now, but I think he could be close to him. He's definitely still. He's been in the league for a few years, and he's still young, and I still think he has potential, and he still has time to build up his game and like get better. And I still think he's solid. Like he's a solid center. Like he's a solid backup. I also like Cornette. Cornette's been playing really well too. He's been very, very solid and an affordable backup center option. He doesn't make that much money. We signed him to a 1 year deal. Like, and honestly, like I think we should get one more center after those two guys, so we have depth because depth is, you can never go wrong with enough depth. Because
Yeah,
guys get injured, guys get tired throughout the season, and it's important
yeah, I've
going
seen a lot
forward.
of things like potentially even trading for Jakob Pertl, but I think one could you potentially see a reunion with Robert Williams? So they won a first
I
round.
could, I could definitely see it. That would be nice.
Lewis
Remember, it was originally supposed to be Robert Williams and KP before that Drew trade.
was. It
So
was. And you gave up a bag of chips for Drew Holiday. Like I think the big one was just Robert Williams, right?
I mean, basically, yeah, we technically. I mean, Brogdon was Brogdon. He
Oh
was,
yeah, we gave up Brogdon too. Yeah.
yeah.
You know, I'm still scratching my head. I wish we could have done smart for Porzingis, not
hmm
smart, Brogdon for Porzingis,
hmm
but instead we kind of turned that because originally that's what it was. We shipped off
Yeah, then
Brogdon.
it would have been smart. Yeah,
That would have been, but then
my friend Brendan was not happy about that.
oh
He's the biggest Marcus Smart fan there is, and he was not happy.
yeah, I agree. So we kind of covered trade talks too. There's not really much else really to cover. We kind of like wrapped it all up. We wanted to have that interview get out, and then there's gonna be another big interview tonight that I'm gonna be hosting by myself, with the main Celtics DJ. So I want you guys to actually tune into that. That'll be probably posted tomorrow or sometime this week. And then yeah, tune in next week for Wednesday's podcast. We're gonna try to get another guest. We're rolling with these guests. If you guys have any recommendations of who you guys want on here and I try to get and stuff, let me know, please. Any final thoughts from you guys? That's all
No,
you guys
that's
got.
about it.
We played good this week, and
Yeah,
thank you again.
great week, great week.
Oh yeah, and thank you again to Cameron for joining the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Go Celtics. Thank you
Go
guys.
C's.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.